So, what is this whole game about letter of credit? What is the role of letter of credit? What is the role of banks in this international payment system? So, what we have to understand that the international transactions may be related to some exports, maybe imports, or some similar types of contracts between two parties located in different countries in the world. When they deal with each other, there are certain money involved that has to be paid by, for example, in the export transactions, by the buyer to the seller. Now, since they are located in two different countries and governed by different legal framework, different culture, and long distances among them, and probably they are strangers to each other. Having an international contract, which again is governed by different legal framework and may not have the perfect sanctity or the jurisdiction, it is but obvious that the beneficiary of the payment would be having lot of concern about the payment which is going to receive, especially in the case of exports, when goods are to be exported by the seller and there are long time involved before the goods are exported and payment is received. Also, the contract signed between the buyer and the seller is much earlier than the actual shipment of the goods, and the receipt of the goods would again take long time through sea routes, especially because most of the business in the international market happens through sea. That requires a lot of time of transportation. So, due to these different aspects of the nature of this kind of transaction between an exporter and an importer, it is but obvious that the exporter would be concerned about the actual receipt of the payment, and he will be also concerned about the surety of the payment by the importer. So, in order to make it happen internationally, when the transaction take place between two different parties in different nations with different legal systems, the very obvious way of making it happen is to involve a third party which is unbiased, a third party that is reputed, and a third party that has the capability of dealing with the payments, dealing with the documents, dealing with the aspects of the trade, international trade, and the third party that is knowledgeable, third party which understand business, and third party that is having an international perspective. So what happens? The surety of the payments in the international transactions is done through the third party, and which invariably is a international bank of repute. So you need a third party that may be a group of entities in this third party cluster, but they are the international banks of reputes which are normally the preferred choice in order to ensure that the transaction which take place, the payment is received by the exporter and the goods are also received by the buyer, because he is paying for some material that has to reach on time with the right quantity and right quality. So, to mitigate this risk and to satisfy both exporter as well as the importer, the third party role which is taken by the international banks of repute works very well in the international business and international trading system. I will be taking up in this course all about the different types of instruments which are available with banks to carry out this kind of role. What are the limitations of this third party system, that is the international banks, and what all the banks can do, what all banks cannot do. I will be talking about this aspect also, and I will also tell you that how this system works in the absence of a common legal system in the world. How the banks standardize their practices to carry out this kind of role of ensuring the international payments as well as ensuring the interest of the buyers also.